fish in New York City, even Egyptian mouthweeders.
He noticed the expressions on the faces of the two detectives and added lamely,
If you don't collect fish, you wouldn't understand. But believe me, an Egyptian mouthweeder is pretty hard to get these days. And they're all dead in there.
Mouthweeder? Muldoon asked incredulously.
Yeah, you see, they keep their young in their mouths for a couple of days after birth, and they never swallow them. That's one of the great things about collecting fish. You get to appreciate the wonders of nature.
Muldoon and Saul looked at each other.
It's inspiring,
Muldoon said finally,
to have so many college graduates on the force these days.
The elevator door opened, and Dan Pricefixer, a red-headed young detective on Muldoon's staff, emerged carrying a metal box.
I think this is important, Barney.
He began immediately with just a nod to Saul.
Damned important. I found it in the rubble and had been partly blown open, so I looked inside. Yeah?
Muldoon prompted.
It's the freakiest bunch of inter-office memos I ever set eyes on. Weird as tits on a bishop.
It is going to be a long night, Saul thought suddenly with a sinking feeling. A long night and a heavy case.
Want a peek?
Muldoon asked him maliciously.
You better find a place to sit down.
Pricefixer volunteered.
It'll take you a while to go through them. Let's use the cafeteria,
Saul suggested.
You just have no idea
The patrolman repeated.
the value of an Egyptian mouthweeder. That's rough for all nationalities, man or fish.
Muldoon said in one of his rare attempts to emulate Saul's mode of speech. He and Saul turned to the cafeteria, leaving the patrolman looking vaguely distressed. His name is James Patrick Hennessy, and he's been on the force 3 years. He doesn't come back into this story at all. He had a 5-year-old retarded son whom he loved helplessly. You see 1,000 faces like his on the street every day, and never guess how well they're carrying their tragedies. And George Dawn, who once wanted to shoot him, is still screaming. But Barney and Saul are in the cafeteria. Look around. The transition from the Gothic lobby to this room of laminated, functional and glittering plastic colours is, one might say, trippy. Never mind the smell. We're closer to the pet shop here. Saul removed his hat and ran a hand through his grey hair pensively as Muldoon read the first 2 memos in one quick scan. When they were passed over, he put on his glasses and read more slowly in his own methodical and thoughtful way. Hold onto your hats. This is what they said. Illuminati Project Memo 1 7/23 JF. The first reference I found is in Violence by Jacques Ellul, Seabury Press, New York, 1969. He says, pages 18 to 19, that the Illuminated Ones were founded by Joachim of Floris in the 11th century and originally taught a primitive Christian doctrine of poverty and equality. But later, under the leadership of Fra Dolcino in the 15th century, they became violent, plundered the rich and announced the imminent reign of the spirit. In 1507, he concludes, they were vanquished by the forces of order, that is, an army commanded by the Bishop of Vercoy. He makes no mention of any Illuminati movement in earlier centuries or in more recent times. I'll have more later today. Pat. P.S. I found a little more about Joachim of Floris in the back files of the National Review. William Buckley and his cronies think Joachim is responsible for modern liberalism, socialism and communism. They've condemned him in fine theological language. He committed the heresy, they say, of immanentizing the Christian eschaton. Do you want me to look that up in a technical treatise on Thomism? I think it means bringing the end of the world closer, sort of. Illuminati Project Memo 2 7/23 1961. Doral traces the Illuminati back to the 11th century also, but not to Joachim of Floris. He sees the origin in the Ismailian sect of Islam, also known as the Order of Assassins. They were vanquished in the 13th century, but later made a comeback with a new, less violent philosophy, and eventually became the Ismailian sect of today, led by the Aga Khan. However, in the 16th century in Afghanistan, the Illuminated Ones, or Roshinaya, picked up the original tactics of the Order of Assassins. They were wiped out by an alliance of the Mughals and Persians, pages 220 to 223. But the beginning of the 17th century saw the foundation of the Illuminated Ones of Spain, the Alumbrados, condemned by an edict of the Grand Inquisition in 1623. In 1654, the Illuminated Guerinettes came into public notice in France. And finally, the part you're most interested in. The Bavarian Illuminati was founded on May Day 1776 in Ingolstadt, Bavaria by Adam Weishaupt, a former Jesuit. Documents still extant show several points of resemblance between the German and Central Asian Illuminists, points that are hard to account for on grounds of pure coincidence. Page 255. Weishaupt's Illuminati was suppressed by the Bavarian government in 1785. Doral also mentions the Illuminati of Paris in the 1880s, but suggests it was simply a passing fad. It does not accept the notion that the Illuminati still exists today. This is beginning to look big. Why are we keeping the details from George? Pat. Saw the Muldoon exchange glances.
Let's see the next one.
Saul said. He and Muldoon read together Illuminati Project Memo 3 7/24 JM. The Encyclopedia Britannica has little to say on the subject. 1966 edition, volume 11, Calicato Impala, page 1094. Illuminati, a short-lived movement of Republican free thought founded on May Day 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, professor of canon law at Ingolstadt and a former Jesuit. From 1778 onward, they began to make contact with various Masonic lodges, where, under the impulse of A. Kniga, QV, one of their chief converts, they often managed to gain a commanding position. The scheme itself had its attractions for literary men like Goethe and Herder, and even for the reigning dukes of Gotha and Weimar. The movement suffered from internal dissension and was ultimately banned by an edict of the Bavarian government in 1785. Pat. Saul paused.
I'll make you a bet, Barney.
He said quietly.
Joseph Malik will vanish is the JM these memos were written for.
Sure, Muldoon replied scornfully.
These Illuminati characters are still around and they got it. Honest to God, Saul, he added. I appreciate the way your mind usually pole vaults ahead of the facts, but you can ride a hunch just so far when you're starting from nothing. We're not starting from nothing,
Saul said softly.
Here's what we got to start with. 1.
He held up a finger.
A building is bombed.